Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. First of all, I'd like to thank all you guys for your subscriptions, your likes, all your comments. Trust me, if I haven't replied to any comments, I do go through them whenever I've got time, but I get so many at the minute. If I don't get to respond to you, we're really busy, but I will get round to it. But thanks ever so much. If you haven't already, guys, please press that subscribe button. It will really help us. And as I say, please just keep those comments coming. Really appreciate it. Regulars and non-regulars, but just press the subscribe button, guys. Anyway, purpose of this video to show you how we got into first of all, the Cosworth engines, which were the beginning really of our performance side of the company, and how we sort of moved on, going from the sort of regular cylinder head repairs and garage work to the classic and the performance side of it. As I say, it all stemmed really from doing the Cosworth engines, probably 9-10 years ago now. So this is a good sort of 3-4 years before we bought the business, John and I. As I said to you before, we both worked for our boss at the time. The company was Bareham Engineering, so slightly different name to what it is now, but it predominantly did the same thing. We were an engine reconditioners, but we did do a little bit more sort of general engineering back then. Bits and bobs, the sort of bits and bobs that probably take you 3 hours and people don't want to cost any more than 20 quid. But anyway, that's what we sort of did at the time. About 9-10 years ago, I owned a Cosworth Sierra Sapphire 2-wheel drive. I was Cosworth mad, still am really. Always got Cosworth and Ford in the blood. And at that point in time, as I say, I had a Sierra. I worked very hard to get this Sierra, absolutely adored it. And probably 10 years ago, I'd probably owned it for about 6 years by then. Always dreamed of doing the engine, but at the time I didn't really have enough money. So I sort of continued to save bits and bobs to do the engine. And I approached my boss and said, look, if I do the engine, can I sort of pay you an hourly rate? When we're not busy, if I spend time on it, I'll pay you an hourly rate. He agreed. He helped me out with the parts, did them at cost and what have you. Yeah, so we pulled the engine out of the car and I had my complete Cosworth engine in front of me. Now, I took a real interest in this engine. Although we were doing engines at the time, we weren't really doing performance engines because that wasn't particularly John's forte. He was well into the classic stuff. And to be honest, at that time, because we had so much garage work and sort of general engine repair work, we only really had 2, maybe 3 engines on the engine stands at once. And they were usually classic things, So yeah, this was pretty new to us. And although the Cosworth engine isn't majorly high tech, it was what I was really interested in. So went about reconditioning this engine, and it was the first time I sort of got involved with doing a few trick bits and obviously learning more about this sort of piston to valve clearance and doing the valve pockets in the pistons at the time, and head porting, and learnt about the cams a bit more and stuff like that. So did this engine, reconditioned the rocker cover, lovely machine that. I blasted all like the brackets, nuts and bolts, and sent those off and had them zinc plated in yellow and clear zinc, and put the engine together. It looked absolutely fantastic. Got the turbo done, really happy with that. And I was hooked then, absolutely hooked. So I had a chat with my boss at the time and said, look, if I advertise under my own name, would that be okay to sort of, obviously myself stroke Bareham Engineering, if we sort of advertise doing the Cosworths and what have you, because I'd learned quite a bit about them when I did my own. And as I say, before that, it's not like it was completely new to me. I hadn't had a whole engine, but I had done cylinder head work with reboard blocks and got involved with the cranks and stuff like this. So I'd seen Cosworth bits before, just hadn't built a complete engine. So he agreed with that. I went about and did my own Facebook page and, advertised there. And we started to get, a bit of interest. And then we had a really big job, which was a Cosworth engine in a Mark 1 Escort, white bubble arches, the blue stripe, the roll cage, the whole shebang. And the chap delivered the car to me, which was the first time then that we'd actually got a car, because back then we didn't have a ramp. We actually got a car to, take the engine out, do the engine, put it back in, do a few other bits, get it running, the complete job. This lad from Bristol delivered this car up to us. We did the engine. It was about 450 horsepower, all the bits and bobs. It was a real trick bit of kit. Made it look fantastic. You'll see in the pictures. And he took it away, and he was quite big on the scene in the Bristol Owners Club, I think, at the time. And he used to take it to a few shows, and he knew a few people. In the meantime, we got 2 or 3 other Cosworth engines, and we did them the same sort of, always the same look, got everything plated. There was nothing left sort of undone, if you like. And by now, I'm done 3 or 4, and I'm starting to learn them and, really getting to know and become a bit of a Cosworth engine specialist, I suppose. Then, as I say, from this guy and obviously the other guys that I'm doing engines for, the Cosworth scene, I quickly learned that it was I suppose like any other sort of maker car, but it's almost a community nationwide. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows the builders and who's involved with this, that, the other, and, who sells the parts. So I start to sort of get to know the guys that have been building Cosworths for years, and I was part of I suppose I was part of this Cosworth family, and I was well chuffed with that. In the meantime, we start to have other engines, so like Evos, Subarus, BMWs, all stuff like that, all coming off the Facebook page. So yeah, I was sort of edging it to what I would like to do, And as I say, because I'm bringing the work in, my boss is getting the money, although at the time he wasn't really charging what we should have charged for doing it. There's quite a lot of people don't understand the work that's involved with cleaning and checking and painting and blasting. And there's a lot of hours that get soaked up in that. And my boss wasn't charging anything like enough. But thankfully, as time went on and as the business grew and, the products we were putting out were top class and that, although I do these videos for warranties and what have you, trust me, these are real one-offs. We've produced a lot of engines and we very rarely hear back any sort of negative feedback or issues or whatever. But yeah, so we started to get a good name for ourselves, I guess. And so 5.5 years ago, John and I got the opportunity to buy the business. We did a deal with our boss. He retired. We changed the name to Barham Engines because trouble is with Barham Engineering, although we were predominantly an engine reconditioners, we were getting the general engineering clientele turning up with jobs that, some of it don't mind doing at all. But unfortunately, you do get the chaps that are stuck a little bit in a time warp and they turn up with a job that takes a couple of hours and wonder why it's more than 15 quid. Not interested. That's not what we wanted to do. So first thing we did was change the name, Barham Engines. Says a little bit more about what we want to do and what we actually do. So we get a ramp in and sort of get kitted up for having, we haven't got that much space because we've got a lot of machinery, but we wanted to have a ramp there so we could have a car in and do, try and have a car in all the times where we can take the engine out and do the engine, put it back in. First car we had was a Subaru Impreza. It was a 55 plate STI. Got the opportunity to do the engine on that. So yeah, it was going the way we wanted it to go, really. It's gone from the Cosworths to most other things, really. I mean, as I say, we do the M3 BMWs, Imprezas, Evos, we built some big power stuff. And not only that, but we started to get engines that, as the classic car scene becomes more sort of popular and the cars have risen in value quite drastically, people want the engine looking as nice as it is on the inside and as nice as the car's been done. So yeah, almost doing sort of concourse build engines, really. Now we are sort of 5.5 years down the line and we've managed to sort of move away from the work that we weren't so keen on doing, and we can pick the work, really. We've charged the right money. We still don't charge nothing like what some people charge, but as long as we get our hourly rate for every hour we spend on them engines, I'm happy with that. We don't stick a tax on for anything, so we wouldn't stick the Cosworth tax on, we wouldn't stick an M Sport BMW tax on an engine. You know, we charge the same hourly rate to do a Morris Minor as we do a Ferrari engine. You know, it just takes as long as it takes. I always try and estimate the high side of the hours, and I always say to the customer, you know, it could take up to those amount of hours, but if it takes us less, we'll charge you less. So I think we're fair. We've always been like that. See by the pictures, the quality of the work that we do. And now I suppose, we do get the general repair cylinder head work for the local garages and what have you. And also a lot of cylinder heads come from away, places like London, I suppose. You know, I've heard quite a lot where it's cheaper for them to post the cylinder head down to us, get us to do it and post it back, and it is to get it done up there. We do that quite a lot. But we get work from all over now. The company's nationwide. We have it coming from all over. So it's not just the local work. And I suppose we've got usually 6-7 engines on the go at once, and it's all the work we want to do. We're really happy with it. So I'd just like to show you the whole angle of running a business, really, and what realistically you do go through. I mean, there's no one on this planet that runs a business and never ever has any issues. And if they say they don't, then they're a liar. You know, so this is the whole point of the channel. I just want you to see what it is like to run the business, you know. But as I say, we've produced some fantastic work. I'm really proud to have, built it the way it's gone. And as I say, we sort of introduced Carlos to the business a few years ago, sort of part-time. The last year he's been doing more and more hours. He's a top bloke and he's helped us a lot. You know, he's really good on the mechanic side. So any car that's on the ramp, and he can work his way around anything. Likes to have a little bit of a moan about it, but I just leave him to it and he cracks on. Brilliant job. But yeah, as I say, hope you like the video, guys. Hope you like some of the photos of the engines we've done. And if you've got anything, if you've got a classic car or a performance car and you even want to chat about any sort of advice on which way to go with the engine, even parts of the engine, feel free to give us a call. Always happy to speak to anyone. And if I don't answer, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, let's say, remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. And please comment down below, guys, what you think of all that. Negative, positive, don't mind. Just keep the comments coming. Really appreciate them. Right, till the next time. Thanks very much, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Cheers.